Hello, ladies and gents. It's Michael Burhan here for another live stream, sponsored by my good friend here, Pepsi Max. I am suffering today. You have to forgive me. I've been trying to be as proactive as possible in order to try and get my acting stuff done and get the agent and everything all sorted out. I've been working on the show reel, redoing headshots, and also working myself to the bone to the point now where I've done something to my back. I think a lot of it, part of it, I think, is flu. I think I've come down with some sort of flu that's thrown my back out. Probably part being old, but hey, this is what happens. And I've been suffering a little bit emotionally recently. But I'm trying my best to kind of move on from that because we got a new Slamcast that's going to be uploaded along with loads of other bits and pieces. So for those people who like to join me for this live stream today, remember to leave a comment below. Let me know exactly what your opinions are, and also, you know, what your opinions are and what's going on, etc. But I had a nice little chat with an agent recently, actually, who spoke with me about a few things. One of them was basically talking to me about my headshots and showreel. He felt that some of the footage was a bit... He didn't want footage with hair, but he also felt that the headshots themselves and some of the photos that I have weren't as good as he wanted them to be. So I'm going back to the drawing board, having a look and seeing what I could basically work with and what I couldn't, and get a few more headshots done by a friend of mine who's a photographer himself. So we'll see how it goes. Well, we've got to talk about something. I don't like talking about this as much as anybody, and I can't believe, like, we live in a world right now where everybody is divided in terms of opinions, and people are losing friends, we're losing family, we're losing everyone depending on what opinion we have. It's a silly, silly situation. It bugs me because I feel like we're really, as a people, I feel that we're very enlightened. You know, we're supposed to be very enlightened, but also as a people, I feel like we're stupid. Sometimes I feel like that I'm probably one of the only smart people in the room. I feel like I'm arrogantly alienating myself from everybody else when I try and talk about stuff that's supposedly supposed to be intelligent and supposed to mean intelligence in some form or fashion. But that's the thing. This streams like this are hard for me. And doing anything is hard for me. Like, I have a great deal of anxiety when it comes to life. And I'm very introverted when it comes to me being around my own space and trying to be around people. And when people talk about stuff like equality, I don't think people understand what equality means. It means, you know, you have equal rights. Everybody, you, me, and everyone has the same idea. We basically have the same opportunities. If I go to uni and I go for a degree, I expect everybody in that degree to be treated the same way. Whether you're a white male or female, whether you're a brown person, whether you're a black person, whether you're a Chinese person. It doesn't work like that, though, does it? The problem with society is we kind of have this space, this idea of everybody else. And these are stereotypical ideas. We look at a black person, we think, that guy has been raised in a ghetto somewhere and he's going to basically mug me. We look at a person who's an investment banker and we automatically think Wall Street. They're the reason why money's being stolen out of the system. They pay no tax. We look at a rich person. We stereotypically think that they're sponging off of everybody else and trying to throw us all against one another. These are opinions. There's no facts to most of these. We can only garner facts when it comes to a person, an individual, and that's subjective. We can never tar and feather an entire race of individuals under the same brush, because we're no, as my ex-mother-in-law used to say, no five fingers, not the same. And that's the thing, we're not the same. We're all not the same. I'm not the same from you. I'm rather unique despite my failings and my flaws in life. And you and everybody else out there, there's one person watching the stream right now, are unique. And it's the hypocrisy that comes from all this makes me laugh, because everybody's fighting right at the moment saying, well, you know, the fact that we have implications in place to support black male people in the black community in America, or to support Latinos in America, and they call for the end of equal opportunities, and people who call themselves the alt-right want an end for these equal opportunities because they feel like it's demeaning, and truthfully they are demeaning. The whole thing when it comes to life itself is, when we look at opportunities, you want to be based on those opportunities via your skill levels. I want to go for a job. I want to go for a job and base it on my level of skill. And if someone can teach me something that I can pick up very easily. But it never works that way. It never works dependent on your skill levels. It's more on who you know. And I'm in an industry right now, Hollywood, acting in general, directing, whatever you want to do in the creative field, it's all about who you know, because you need someone who's got money to pay you to be as creative as you can be. Does that suck? Yes, it does. In a kind of ideal world, in a dreamlike world that we're living in, we would all expect to have something, given to us, to be afforded the opportunities that some other person who are having a far better living standard than us has been afforded, but it doesn't work that way. And this is where issues are occurring right now. America has a very vast history. America has a history of love, but it also has a history of racial prejudice and hatred, and a lot of racial prejudice has come from 2017. We've seen police officers shoot people who haven't been holstered with guns, and I'm not going to say all police officers were white who did this. They weren't. You had some Latino officers who did this. You had people who basically had this kind of idea of someone and said, well, that person's going to be holding a gun, so I'm going to go and shoot that person. Does it suck? Yes, it does. It turns into an idea of racial profiling. Now, the fact that you're having monuments that are tied to kind of racism in America being taken down is a good thing. A lot of people see it as a good thing. These things belong in museums. You're not trying to, minimize the past and minimize the attributes and stuff that these people have done for the American people. But at the same time, you want to get them out of public view, out of the way of desecration, and also to show that America is becoming more modern. And as a society, we are becoming more modern. Then the situation with Charlottesville happened, and it makes me laugh in not in the nicest ways, in more kind of a sarcastic way of, my God, why the hell did this even happen? And a lot of people can attribute it a lot on the left, and I will say on the left, attribute it to Donald J. Trump, saying that Donald Trump is the reason why these people are going out there, these neo-Nazis have the courage to go out there and do a public protest. A lot of people also blame the others who were there, who had permits, who were on the left, who were basically counter-protesting them. Now, I feel fighting and beating up your fellow neighbor and coming armed with bats and fucking what have you, was ridiculous. And the people who did that need to be held accountable, rather than, if they're left or right or fucking round or skinny. It doesn't matter, it really doesn't matter. And they need to be held accountable for their actions. But when someone goes in their car and decides to plow people down, run them over and kill someone, there's a problem. there's a problem when people are allowed to rate, and again, I'm all for free speech. I am all for free speech. I believe if you go out and you say something or you do something in the name of free speech, you are entitled to use that platform, but at the same time, you're also going to have to deal with the consequences. So these guys are going around talking about pure blood whites and keeping America white and all that shit, which is, if you've seen the Vice video and you've seen the uploads on YouTube, you'll see the fact that the narrative is pretty much the same. A bunch of racists went down and decided that they wanted to kind of protest this statue, which they weren't protesting in the first place. They were just doing it to get their voice heard and to just be racist. That was literally what it was. And white supremacy, they instead of considering themselves as white supremacists, they consider themselves alt-right. Now, alt-right started off as kind of a belief system where you have this kind of Republican approach where they believe that the free market and capitalism is the way to go, and they don't believe in stuff like basically socialism or social care and other stuff like that. That's fine. In terms of an opinion, that is fine. In terms of having a left in the opinion and a right on the opinion, everyone has an opinion and everyone has the right to speak that opinion and speak their mind. I'm allowed, like, thanks to freedom of speech, I'm allowed to sit there on YouTube and talk to you guys about this incident because I'm basically allowed to do so, and that's fine as well. But at the same time, going out and with the intent to harm someone doesn't help your cause. What it does, it makes you look like a complete and utter cunt. And it also makes your cause out to be something of just going around trying to fight. It's like, it basically, I can attest the neo-Nazis who basically did this to A Clockwork Orange. And the same goes for fucking the people on the left who wanted to go out and fight. Fighting doesn't solve anything. Beating someone up, plowing someone with your car doesn't solve anything. All it does is give you less of a voice and less of an opinion, because people don't take you seriously, because all you want to do is kill someone or hurt someone or viciously maim someone. This hate crime and terrorist attack, which is what it was, then gets downplayed on the media. It gets downplayed on social media. It gets downplayed by those who associate themselves with the alt-right. Am I disgusted that people feel that it's not what people paint it out to be? Yeah, very disgusted. But at the same time, I just ignore it now. I've gotten to the point where on social media, if I see someone spreading hate, or if I see someone like demonizing homosexuals or demonizing a person of color, I just ignore it. And it's gotten to the point where it's a shame. And a lot of people, people come out and say, well, if you're ignoring it, it's just as bad as basically, associating with it. And it's not just as bad as association, because at the end of the day, I'm not going around saying Sieg Heil and putting my arm up in the air and swearing at people and saying these people are bad, etc., etc., because that's not my way. That's not the way that I choose to in life. But I don't want to sit there and get angry at my friends and neighbors because they have an opinion. And that's all what it is. Another thing I do have a problem with is President Donald J. Trump. I have a problem with the fact that he was trying to associate both sides when he should have condemned the neo-Nazi side altogether. Yes, and the left had permits. But I kind of agree with his opinion, where on both sides there was a problem because both sides showed up to fight. The left showed up to fight with weapons. The right showed up to fight with weapons. And extremism on both sides doesn't work. I cannot sit there and beat someone up until they see my side of the story or my opinion, because the fact is, you're not going to see it. Everyone is stubborn. You're going to have people on the right using every little bit of fake news that they can come out with and say, hey, this, because Mio Yiannopoulos says all this shit, then it has to be true. And you have SJWs that say, because Anita Sarkeesian says this shit, it has to be true. And you've got guys, menists, going around saying, well, because the guy that we like says it, it has to be true. Because we all have these pillars, we have these heroes, people that we put up on these fucking pedestals, whose opinion is gold. And the one thing I've always said about my opinion is opinions are a lot like assholes. Everyone has one, but they all smell. And that's the fact of the matter. When it comes to me, my opinion, you may love it, you may hate it, you may not like it. It depends. It's like Marmite. You know, you may come out with some pleasurable taste from it. Other people may taste it and it tastes like arse. And that's the way that it's going to be, because that's the way that we are as people. We all have opinions. Opinions are very subjective in terms of those, and we can have debates and we can talk and discuss things. That's what differs us from the crazy loonies who go out there trying to kill each other because this guy's opinion is better than this guy's opinion. And I've always said, when it comes to politics or anything else, as long as you don't hurt anybody, that's all that matters. And Charlottesville shows it's a complete damn shame. It's damn shame because these people are students. These people are fathers. These people are mothers. These people are workers. And these people are people who felt the need to go out and do that and destroy everybody else because they wanted to protest and do all this nastiness. And all it did was spread hate. And the problem is, they've kind of trolled us in a way, because they've trolled every fucking person on the planet who gets upset about this shit and goes, well, you know, I'm angry, so we need to do something about it. There's nothing you can do about it. In terms of the people who have broken the law, they need to be held accountable. Share their photos and make sure that the police arrest them. But you can't use it to kind of force your own agenda. If you're a liberal, you can't sit there and go, well, this is why I'm right. No one wants to know why you're fucking right. That's the truth. If you're a conservative, no one wants to know why you're fucking right. And that's the truth. We all need to get together and sit there and go, this isn't the way. What these people are doing isn't the way. The actions that they basically, you know, all the shit they infiltrated and the fact that they hurt people and they killed someone and injured people isn't the way. No matter what side of the spectrum you're on and what side of the political debate you're on, you may think that Donald J. Trump has the fucking sun shining out of his backside, and that is totally your opinion. Hate doesn't counteract hate. Exactly, Pixel Gamer Girl. Hi, Heather. And that's kind of the thing here. Hate doesn't complement. All hate does is make you hate more. And that creates wars. And like the fucking pissing contest that's going on with Kim Jong-un and Donald Trump right now, it does no one any good. You need to sit down and communicate. That's all you can do. I've seen neo-Nazis go, hey. I've seen neo-Nazis go out there into the main world and tell their stories and understand that what I was doing was wrong. I've seen parents who have been homophobes come out after seeing their children come out of the closet and go, I support this because I understand their struggle because it's close to home. Everyone has a way of understanding, communicating and learning, and it's up to us to kind of understand where someone is coming from and just find ways to kind of make sure that they understand what we're going through, because that's what both sides need to go through. And I get it. I really, really get it. America, the United Kingdom, everywhere. Everyone is fed up. They're fed up of fucking politics. They're fed up of our economic disaster that's basically going on at the moment, where if you're working a 9-to-5 job, you don't have enough money to support yourself or your family. You have people paying for houses they can't afford, renting apartments they can't afford, and also having little to no money. We have men and women alienating each other right now. We have people based on political opinions. I've just had a friend of mine unfriend and block a family member because they have two different political views. It's fucked up right now. Society is generally fucked up. And it gets worse and worse and worse. Instead of addressing the main issue, which is basically giving people the right to have enough to live on, to live their lives and enjoy their lives, we are now segregating ourselves from one another. We're literally, in terms of men and women, men don't want to associate with women, women don't want to associate with men. Everybody's unhappy, and it doesn't help. all stuff that Charlottesville has proven is the fact that we need to love one another, and we need to be, you know, unique snowflakes, unique individuals of who we are, because being this nasty and aggressive human being doesn't help. Most people out there, you're probably parents. You know, I'm a parent myself, and to watch the way that the world is going right now, and to see my children wake up in a world where they don't have the right to be themselves, it's shocking. We don't understand one another. We don't understand the diverse cultures that are out there. We don't understand the gay community. We don't understand the lesbian community. We don't understand the transsexual community. Everyone keeps saying that these are mental disorders and these are illnesses. You have people not understanding the black community. We don't understand Latinos. We don't understand Muslims. We don't understand any of this thing. And we've put such a negative stigma on each other now that it's gone into the point where people are trying to justify white, you know, like neo-Nazis, and they're trying to justify people who only preach hate. We don't take the time or effort to understand. And that's the truth. I've seen people go into stores, argue at checkout workers, and not understand that that guy or girl is trying their best to feed their families. No one's paying it forward anymore. It's all about me, me, me. As long as my family's okay, I can justify being a fucking bigot. I can justify my hate. Doesn't help. And, you know, to Trump's credit, he did denounce it eventually, but he wanted to go into more detail about the reason why he's right and everybody else is wrong, which doesn't help him in the long run. It doesn't help him or his cause. And that's kind of the problem, I think. And to the people on the right who believe that they are intelligent and they are better than the people on the left, you need to do some soul searching. The people on the left who feel that they're more intelligent than those on the right need to do soul searching too, because both sides need to sit there and think about what it is exactly that they're doing. What does this all do for you? To say, oh, I'm right, well done. Does that change the situation? No. Instead of fighting amongst each other, we should be going to the politicians who basically hold our lives in their palm of their hands and say enough is enough and we need a change. We need a system that helps us. The fact that Canada, of all places, is getting it so right, where everybody else is getting it so wrong, because we just point the finger and blame. We play the blame game and we lack accountability for ourselves. And it sucks. It fucking sucks. Now, I know a lot of you are going to go onto your websites, these blogs that people post and saying, this is real news and this is real news, and call everybody else, including CNN and Fox News, fake news. The fact is, you are as intelligent as you want to be. You know, you could take time. It takes 5 minutes to do a little bit of research to find out who someone is, what their kind of terminology is, and how they see things and how they see life in general, or how they see you, if they basically understand your community, your people, or if they don't, or if they're very out of touch. And I get the whole, like, we don't want to be having white guilt anymore because it wasn't me that basically that went out there and started slave trading people. I get it. I really get it. I empathize the fact that people get called a cracker, and I say that with the utmost respect. That's racism. If you go to a white person, if you're sitting there saying, oh, you know, I'm racially profiled and hated because I'm a black person, because the white man keeps me down. The white man is not keeping you down. The rich man is keeping you down. The ignorant man is keeping you down. And the same goes for the white community who sits there and goes, why do we have to get made to feel white guilt for everything we've earned? You don't have to feel white guilt. That's your choice. If you sit there and you know you've done nothing wrong and someone's sitting there calling you a fucking racist, then there was a problem. But I can't sit down and see these people who just go out there and try and advocate for hate. because all you're doing is giving these people fuel. Neo-Nazism isn't right. The all-white movement, that's not cool, because it is hate. It's racial hatred. But this, you know, and they're gonna sit there, and I know they're gonna be like, well, it's the same as stuff like when the blacks marched to get civil rights. No, it isn't, because when you grow up a white upper class man or woman, you have privilege. I grew up from basically being a person who grew out of privilege because I had a father who was very well off, but by the time I was born he squandered all that, and I ended up living in a poor family, in a poor house, discriminated against for my colour, discriminated against for the way I looked, and discriminated against for everything, despite me trying to climb up and become the best that I could be. I basically did work for others to make others look good, whether it was an employer that took credit for every little thing that I did, or if it was for people at my university where I had to do a degree for and make sure that their coursework was done, because otherwise I would have failed. Is it fair? No. Fuck no, it's not fair. It's not fair being in a position where you have, you know, basically living a life where you've got nothing and you're trying to make something because, you know, you're doing everything you fucking can. I get it. And I know not all white people are born into privilege, because they're not. You know, the whole thing about having white privilege is only attainable for those who are rich. So white privilege or rich privilege is basically a class system. We talk about racial stereotypes when we should be talking about class. We talk about basically old money and new money as though it's the same thing. It's not the same thing if you've worked out of poverty and achieved something and become a millionaire or a billionaire or a trillionaire. But it is something when you've been born with a silver spoon in your mouth and you do everything you can to do as many dodgy dealings as possible. That's privilege. When you've been born with a silver spoon in your mouth and your mummy and daddy take care of everything, that's privilege. But when you're built from nothing, that's not privilege. That's you being the same as everybody else. And the color of your skin doesn't dictate whether or not you live in poverty. I've seen Turks who live in rich big houses. We've got a Turkish prime minister currently in Turkey who steals from people, who beats Kurdish people, who allowed his bodyguards to beat people on American soil and nothing was done about it. American citizens as well. And nothing was done about it. That's privilege. The fact that we don't understand that and everybody uses all these buzzwords like they mean something when they don't. When you've got guys who are sitting there going, oh, with the all-white movement, we're not neo-Nazis. That's neo-Nazism. You're sitting there saying that you want to keep America white. That's racist. It's like when someone says, let's keep America all black. That would be racist too. Or let's keep America all brown. That's racist too. The fact is, we are unique. Everybody, there's just loads of different colors out there. Everyone is unique, but we all bleed the same. We all are the same. And thus is where equality comes in. Equality means that everyone has the same opportunities afforded to them. Everyone is held in the same regard, whether you're man, woman, whether you're basically black, white, whatever. That's equality. And yes, we've got people in using positive reinforcement and putting laws in place to give people kind of an equal playing field, but still making things unequal. But the fact is, it seems that we're repeating the past. We're in 2017 and we're repeating the past so damn much to the point where we're getting ourselves into situations where we're infighting constantly beating each other up, constantly badgering each other, constantly calling each other out. We're dividing families, we're dividing children, we're dividing everybody because everyone thinks they're in the fucking know. Well, I'll give you a little know-how. Here's how the simplistic term goes. We're currently in a system that's not sustaining itself. This is called trickle-down economics. If you don't know what trickle-down economics is when you have people at the top making sure that there are jobs provided so that people at the bottom receive subsidies, and also so that we can grow businesses. So if you've got a small business, you're going to rely on Tom, Dick and Harry to come into your business and pay for your services or your products or whatever the fuck you've got, so that you can basically pay tax to the government, so that you can basically keep the flow going in. So you can get employees or whatever. So you're relying on these people at the top, these millionaires, billionaires, trillionaires at the top, to provide jobs, to provide income, to provide enough to keep the economy going, because it becomes sustainable. Then we have another simplistic thing called basically equality. If we had the same school system in every district, it means that everyone would be equal. Everyone would learn the same. Everyone would basically be educated from the same background and have the same understanding. When you don't have that, it kills the entirety of that system. So when you look at politics, when you look at all these other little bits and pieces, then you have to educate yourself in order to understand what these old systems are doing. Economics is very easy to understand if you know what you're doing. If you understand education, you understand that too. Therein you also understand equality, because equality means that everything is level. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, well, that's communism. That's not communism. That's the way equality works. We're all on the even playing field. I get the same opportunities afforded to me as some dude that comes out of Harvard. If we go for a job, they will look at someone with the best skills and the most basically on their CV in terms of what they've done. So say if I'm going into computer programming, they're going to look at my CV to see if I'm the best man for the job, or the best woman for the job, or the best freaking whatever for the job. And that's the way that they look at things. With what's going on at the moment is no one's equal, everyone's complaining, everyone's angry, no one knows what to do, and everyone is lashing out. And thus has the big brunt of what the problem is in Charlottesville. And it's going to get worse. People are going to keep doing this. What we can do is condemn it and keep a conversation open. That's it. Discuss, talk, make sure that we understand each other and understand each other's backgrounds. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to say to each and every one of you, leave a comment below. Tell us about yourself and your background. You don't have to leave your name. Just tell us about who you are. And I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I came from a poor family, a poor background. I went into professional wrestling. I basically fought for every bit of education I had. I was actually told when I was a child that I was dumb, that I had no intellect whatsoever. To most, I'm seen as rather well educated, and to seem as someone who understands things a lot. And a lot of it is through my own trials and tribulations, or how I see life. And that's the way it should be. I believe, because I'm an idealist, that everyone is capable of achieving their heart's desires, because we all are. There's no privilege in earning your way and earning your keep. And there's no privilege. You could be born with a silver spoon, and you can shun that and decide to better yourself and be the best for your own ventures. So you want to make sure that you've achieved something in life, and there's no shame in that. There's no shame in anybody working hard and trying to achieve something. And there's also no shame if you're basically disabled and you can't work for yourself, or you're retired or whatever, to live your life the way a retiree would, or a way a person who needs assistance but can't actually go out into the real world and work. That's the way that things work right now. And the moment we start shunning people and attacking one another because we're not happy, it's not going to help us in the long run, and it won't help our cause. So for anybody who basically sees the Charlottesville situation, sees it as a bad situation, yes it was, but we also have to condemn everyone that was involved, not just the white supremacist movement. We have to condemn the people on the left who decided to come in with pipes and shields and fight with the other guys. But at the same time, if this war, it was an organized fight. They knew what they were going to do. They knew that they were going to go there and crack some skulls. And they have to be held accountable. And let's hope every person who did that serve some time. And you can be a pussy and hide behind your Facebook page and sit there and go, oh, I didn't mean to do any of it. Well, you were there, you attacked people, you're going to get done for your actions. Simple as. And I think that's it from me. Cause I'm literally depressed talking about this situation because it really upsets me. We're supposed to be a world that lives in peace and love, and I've got loads of friends, loads of family, loads of people who I love to pieces, including you, Heather, of course, who are just awesome human beings. And I think if we learn to love one another a lot more and understand each other and not focus on the aggressive negatives, and I understand if you want more, then you go out and get it. Don't blame anyone else for what you're not achieving. I understand money doesn't grow on trees, and I understand bills need to be paid, and you can't live your dreams because you don't have the support there financially. Like, trust me, if I was a millionaire right now, I would have enough to fund my own film company and produce my first film. Sure, I'd be happy. It doesn't work that way. So I have to claw and, literally push myself to any means that I can to get where I need to be, but I don't have to call everybody else an arsehole and say that next person's holding me down. I'm in an industry that judges people mostly on looks, but I'm still going to try and stand out as the best actor that I can be. And that's the way that you've got to see things. It's a shame. It really is. And I think education is needed. If you feel something's not right, if you feel that something needs, that you don't understand something, ask. Google it. Read about something. Don't look at something and say, well, that matches my ideals, so I'm going to kind of migrate to that. I never do that. I've tried not to look at a lot of mainstream media nowadays, and I go to guys like Philip DeFranco, who has a very middle ground in terms of his political views. He looks to both left and right, and he calls out bullshit. He called out J.K. Rowling recently for the way that she discriminated against Donald Trump when she accused him of doing something that he didn't do. And there's a lot of shit that you can have a go at Trump for doing, but when you're accusing him for doing something he hasn't done, you're discriminating against him. And that's kind of the thing that people need to understand. Your viewpoints are valid. If the right and the left can have a discussion, that's great. But the extreme people, the ones that sit there and argue and get angry and crazy over shit, they're not the ones that you're going to want in your corner, and they're not the ones who should be identifying everybody else. It's the same as you shouldn't look at the alt-right movement and refer to them as neo-Nazis when the vocal minority are this. And they're using it as a term to mask their bigotry. And it's a shame. It really is. Well, that's pretty much it for me. I'm going to go. I'm going to go to bed, be depressed. I'll probably watch a stream for Pixel Gamer Girls if they do a stream tonight. And that's pretty much it. If you like this video, like, comment, subscribe, and share. And I'm sorry that I've been boring people's heads off with this situation and talking politics for the last 40 minutes. It's annoying because I think sometimes I feel like I'm probably the only person in the room that even understands what I'm talking about. Yay us, exactly. But yeah. I'm still trying to figure out how to stream Sonic Mania for people on the Xbox One because my mum's house has got a faster internet connection, so I'm basically at the office. Whenever time I come down here and spend at the office, I can sit down and basically do that and do some streaming. I love you guys too. You're great. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And I want to say thank you I've got 612 subscribers. That's a big feat for me. Thank you for everybody that listens to me ramble on and talk stuff and just have a basic conversation. But anyway, that's pretty much it. I love you all. This is Michael Burhan saying that I've got gameplay. Have you? See you soon.